One of the things we love about our sponsor PropTex is that they're at the cutting edge of AI technology and real estate portals. While a whole bunch of startups are starting to do some virtual staging and image manipulation, PropTex is already discovering and exploiting use cases at the absolute forefront of what these technologies could do. We're talking retail partnerships, we're talking all kinds of stuff that a lot of portals haven't even had the time to think about yet. If you want to find out more, please get in touch with Stefan at PropTex. That's PropTex with 2 X's. Have a conversation with the guys. You will be pleasantly surprised about what they're up to and what they can do for your portal. Right, on to today's episode with Christian Halvorsen, CEO at Schibsted Marketplaces / Vend. Enjoy. Hello, and welcome to the PPW Pod, bringing you news, views, and interviews from the world of real estate, online marketplaces, and PropTech industries. My name is Harvey Hancock. I'm news editor at Online Marketplaces, and we're back. Simon Baker, how's it going? Where are you today?
I'm in Monaco. I've just been down in Nice for the morning, meeting with the PropTex guys, who I know have been chatting with Christian's team today, because they told me. So it's a very small world that we have here.
And we're welcoming, for the first time, kind of, to the podcast, Christian Printzell Halvorsen, CEO at Vend. Christian, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, a quick disclaimer for everyone. We've already done this podcast, but unfortunately it was unpublishable due to technical issues. So we're going to do a repeat of last week's podcast and actually bring it to you. So let's start where we did last week, which is, Christian, what is Vend and what does it do and where do you do it?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm sure not many people have heard about Vend because we just became Vend actually, and we changed our name from Schibsted Marketplaces to Vend, and I'm sure many people or many more people in the industry knows about Schibsted because we have a long history and legacy of operating within the marketplace space in Europe in particular, but also in other parts of the world. But now we have become Vend after a split from our media division that happened last year. So we operate online marketplaces in the Nordics within our 4 core verticals, and that is mobility and real estate and jobs and re-commerce. And we have the leading positions in all the 4 Nordic countries: Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Finland.
And could you give us a little bit of detail about some of the brands that you operate? Obviously, we have Schibsted and we have Vend, but what are the names of the brands that people might be familiar with underneath that umbrella?
Exactly. So our biggest asset, most valuable asset, is Finn in Norway. That is a horizontal platform operating the leading positions in mobility, real estate, jobs, re-commerce, and actually travel even. And has an incredibly strong position in the Norwegian market. I think that is known by quite many people. Then in Sweden, we have Blocket, which is the leader in mobility and in re-commerce. And then we have both in Finland, we have 2 brands. We have Tori, which is a re-commerce leader, and we have Oikotie, which is a real estate platform. And then in Denmark, we have DBA, which is a horizontal platform, mostly re-commerce, and Bilbasen, which is a mobility platform. And then we have some other smaller brands, but those are kind of the main ones.
Can
Simon,
we
over to you? What's your first question for Christian?
I got a bunch of questions, and unlike last time, they're different. Okay, so I want to start with when you're operating cars, jobs, homes, travel. I assume buying babies, strollers, and everything and anything. And Finn sounds a lot like Trade Me in the New Zealand. It's a relatively small market and a very dominant player, basically used by everyone for everything. What are some of the cross businesses lessons you learn, right? You've got, I mean, we're focused on the real estate segment, but when you've got cars and jobs and general classifieds, are there any lessons you can learn between them, or are they all the same, or are they all completely different?
Yeah. First of all, it's funny that you mentioned TradeMe, because we have always compared ourselves to TradeMe, because we both operate in small markets at opposite ends of the world. And the CEO in TradeMe now, he was the CEO in Norway for us also. So Anders is a good friend of mine. I think it's an excellent question, and there are certainly learnings between the verticals. But I would say that we come from a history, a legacy, where we operated as horizontals. Really looking at this as something that where each vertical strengthens the totality in a way. But I think what we are on a journey on towards now is to become a much more vertically oriented company. I truly believe that user and customer needs are getting more and more advanced. And then, I mean, the needs for in real estate are very different from the needs when you sell a t-shirt. And you have to go really deep within each vertical to develop the best solution for both users and customers there. So we are really on that journey, and we can come back to that more in detail.
Actually, how do you, sorry, quick, let's think about that. I mean, you're the history and how old is Finn? I don't know.
Finn is 25 years old.
Okay,
it
so
was started in 2000.
Right, so you got a 25-year-old company that has a lot of habits built into it, if you think about it, right? A lot of the, we do things this way, we do things that way, and it's sort of, what we do. And the consumer has a perspective on how to use Finn, right? Because you've educated them for 25 years. How do you, and let's just focus on real estate, how do you become more verticalized in that segment while not losing the user and losing what has made Finn over the last quarter of a century?
Good question.
I actually don't think the problem is with the user and the customer. I think that is actually the whole reason why we are becoming more vertical oriented is to satisfy user and customer needs in a better way. So I think that is actually where the pull is coming from, that they want more, let's say, real estate specific services, and that is kind of forcing us to change internally. And then I think that you are absolutely right that as an organization and such, we have, of course, operated in a certain way for many years, and now we are more and more operating in a different way. And what we have done is that we also come from a legacy where we have operated as standalone countries. Norway, Finn operated on its own, Blocket in Sweden operated on its own, same in Denmark and Finland. And remember, these are small countries, right? In total, the Nordics is 25 million people. So what we have also done is to get this, let's say, vertical power, vertical scale. We have integrated our organizations across the Nordics into one organization, and then we have structured it along the verticals. So now we have let's say, a pure real estate organization, and same for mobility and so on. And what has been very, very interesting about that is that you actually change the discussions in the organization. Because in the past, we thought about these, let's say, cross-vertical topics, but now you have a leadership team for real estate that every day, every hour, every week, work on solving the biggest topics within real estate, right? And it really drives deeper knowledge, deeper competence, and this agenda around, okay, what do we need to do to be the best real estate portal in the Nordics? So it's been a very, but it is a transformation from let's say, an organizational perspective, business model perspective, and I guess also technical perspective in some way.
Have you changed any of the team, or is it the same people now doing a different job?
Yeah, so I mean, we have we have used we have great talent. We have people who have worked with marketplaces for many years across the Nordics. So we really wanted to use all the great talent we have when we organized this new company. So that was our starting point. But of course, there's always a need in our world to build new competence, build up new competence around AI, for example, or build up new competence around how do we monetize our positions in a better way. So there is always this, exchange where some go out and you bring in new people and new competence. So it's been both, I would say.
Okay, when you bring in new competencies, and you're trying to verticalize real estate or verticalize cars or jobs, where do you find the people? Because by definition, if they're used to being working in a horizontal, they probably don't have deep experience in real estate. Okay, and if they've been working in real estate for the last 10 years, they probably don't understand how a horizontal works, right? And if your job is to transform a horizontal into a series of connected verticals, then how do you find the people with the experience to actually accelerate your migration?
Well, that is a great question. And as I said, it's a combination of using the people we already have, the talent we already have. And many of them have been working with our verticals, right? So it's not like we don't know anything about real estate. We know a fair deal about real estate and mobility and so on. It's just that now you can concentrate on one thing and go even deeper. So one element of it is about, building and deepening the competence we already have. But the other part is to also bring in new competence. When we hire people, we do that now in these verticals. And then, of course, we will always look at, okay, what kind of talent is it that will strengthen our position? Do we have someone who can come from real estate in some way or mobility in some way? It doesn't mean there are not that many other portals in our part of the world that we can attract from, but you can from adjacent industries, right? We also see now that it's quite interesting now that we have become Vend, and the marketplaces business is its own business, not part of the Schibsted media conglomerate. We are much more part of let's say a global talent market. So you can attract talent to our businesses.
I got some more questions. So the because what's interesting is you're doing similar to what OLX did in Brazil. Okay, I don't know if are you aware of what OLX did in Brazil?
I'm not aware of it in detail, I must admit.
Yeah. So they had clearly OLX being a horizontal player in the Brazilian market, very strong, and had gone down the verticalization into real estate. But the problem was they sort of hit a bit of a wall in the process because they're up against strong vertical players. So their solution was, I'll buy a large vertical, in this case, a company called Grupo Zap.
Yeah.
They bought it and did it, which is different to what, for example, Leboncoin did when they said, I'll go deep into vertical into real estate, and they took on Seloger in that market and did a very good job at doing it. Or TradeMe did as well. As we brought up TradeMe before, they said, we're going in deep into real estate. They built out a strong contingent of people within the real estate segment. They actually years ago, to help transform it, hired the former CEO of realestate.co.nz to work for them and to help lead that effort. I mean, that's like maybe 15 years ago now. I think I've lost track of my years. So when you think about hiring great talent is good, have you thought about acquisitions in the market to build out that strength?
Your examples are really good. Let me. We've actually used all the tools in the box here. So in Norway, we have the clear number one position within real estate. So there is mostly about nurturing the talent we have. In Sweden, we didn't really have a real estate position. So there we acquired actually two companies within real estate. CASA, which is a transactional rentals business, and HomeQ, which is it's a SaaS platform for professional landlords. So there we actually did the acquisition route to get a position within real estate and within rentals. And in Finland, we didn't have any position in real estate at all. There we acquired the number 2 player. And then we infused that company with marketplace knowledge from our other operations to take it from number 2 to number 1. And over the course of a couple of years, we have actually been able to move that company, Oikotie, from being a number 2 player to become number 1 on all metrics like brand awareness, content, traffic, and all those things that matter to users. So I would say we have it's a wide palette of different tools that we have used in this area.
Okay, and which has been the best tool? Which one's got you moving fastest into the segment?
I mean, I think that's a hard question to answer. It's like, how many pages are there in a book in a way? Because it kind of depends on the context. I think in Finland we couldn't have done it in another way. You can't just start a real estate portal and think you can outcompete the number 1 player, but buying number 2 and competing from that is certainly possible. The same in Sweden with CASA. There, I think buying this, which is a startup company, and buying that and putting in resources to scale it was a real accelerator to take a position in that market. You probably could have done it from the beginning, but to buy a scale up was a much faster path to the market.
Okay, with it's like that buying the number 2 sort of seems like a play out of the CoStar book, where they're buying number 2 or number 3. It was homes.com, maybe number 4 when they bought it. Domains number 2, on the market number 3, and so on. And they're saying we'll bring our skills and capabilities and apply them to accelerate. How, having acquired the number 2, how have you gone at closing the gap with number 1?
I wouldn't compare it entirely with CoStar because the Finnish market was much more a duopoly than being a market where you had a clear number 1. You had 2 positions that were almost the same size, but one was slightly ahead of the other. And that is different to, for example, the UK market and so on. So here it was more about, okay, there is a duopoly. We think that with our experience, our capital, our knowledge and so on, we can actually take steps, and we have been able to prove that is possible. But it's a slightly different situation.
Okay. Harvey, I'm sure you got some questions.
I've got plenty of questions. Thank you, Simon. So, Christian, I just want to do a little bit of a zoom out. So can we get a bit of more context? Because I happen to know that Vend is basically a mobility first business historically. That's the big revenue driver for the business. To what extent is the real estate vertical going to be part of your strategy? There's obviously a lot of money to be made in real estate. We spoke to Simon Bray, who's been moved to Kleinanzeigen in Germany. This is a horizontal, and he's basically been brought in to activate real estate for Kleinanzeigen in Germany. What's your plan to grow real estate at Vend?
Yeah. Well, it is right that the mobility business area is the largest and most valuable part of our company. It's around half of our market cap. But then real estate is the number 2 in terms of value. And I think when I meet with investors, with shareholders, many of them are as excited, if not more excited, about the opportunity within real estate. And what we particularly see is that there is a great opportunity in applying some of the best practices that other players in the world have done when it comes to pricing, packaging, go to market, developing better tools for the agents and so on. So that is really our most important playbook within real estate, is to develop the position in Norway. And then in addition, we have the two other plays that I mentioned, the transactional rentals and winning the position in Finland. But they are slightly more long-term plays than what we can do with the really strong position that we have in Norway and Finn.
And what are you able to tell us about what kind of products and packaging and pricing that you'd like to instill in the next couple of years, for example, and also what goes into deciding which of these is the right course to take at this time?
Well, I mean, it's not like we are reinventing the wheel here. There are many players who have executed on, let's say, a monetization strategy in real estate. So, of course, we are doing many of the same things, providing better tools for the agents, and then being good at packaging these in different packages with different value propositions, small, medium, large, and taking out the different price elasticity in the market. And then, I mean, there are many levers that we are using as part of that. But it's not a one-time effort. It's much more about being consistent and structured over time in how we apply these monetization tools. Everything from, how are we evolving discounts over time? How are we using dynamic pricing, the value of the property, as one tool to differentiate prices? How are we using geography as one? And of course, the tools and the exposure and visibility products that you have in these different packages. So I don't think it's rocket science compared to what others have done in the past.
Okay. So another sort of related question around this. I got sort of two in my head. I'm trying to work out which one's best to ask first. Let's have a look at what Hemnet's doing with its vendor paid advertising, and how do you think about that? Is that a real vendor paid advertising? Is it a real opportunity for you? Is it a storm in a teacup and the traditional way is going to win? How do you see that?
So we are inspired by Hemnet. We're following them very closely. And it's very interesting because Hemnet has a super strong position in Sweden. Our position in Norway is equally strong. The Norwegian economy is very strong and so on. So the way I see it is that our potential is equally big as it is in Sweden. And they have a vendor paid model. We also have a vendor paid model in Norway. So there is a large opportunity for us to grow that market. And if you look at our price now compared to what it costs to sell a house, it's just a small fraction of the cost. And then the structural difference between Norway and Sweden is that it's not possible to give commission back to real estate agents. That is kind of part of the model in Hemnet. We cannot do that legally because that is not allowed in Norway. So instead, the way it works in Norway is that the agents, they go out and sell what's called marketing packages to the property sellers. And then they actually take our product and they package it in a larger package that maybe includes some Facebook advertising and some other things. And then they actually make a margin on our product. And the way we think about it is that our product is, first of all, it's not one product. It's many different things, small, medium, large, and so on. But we deserve a larger share of the wallet because it's the place where you find your home. There isn't any other place in a way. So that's kind of where we are focusing a lot on how can we increase our take rate in a way in the Norwegian market.
That brings me on to, that brings me on to a conversation we had during our failed podcast last week, which was vendors recently expanded CASA from Sweden into Norway. Where did that decision come from? Where did you spot the opportunity? And I guess I'd like to know a couple of the lessons learned and perhaps advice for other founders who are thinking of maybe doing a cross-border expansion. I'd love to hear a bit more about the story about CASA entering Norway, Christian.
Absolutely. So CASA, as I mentioned, is a transactional rentals company that we acquired. I think it was in 2019 or maybe it was 2018. So and then it was a small startup, and we acquired it with some founders, and they had an earnout model. So they were really incentivized to grow this company. And did so very successfully in Sweden, and really found good product market fit in Sweden. Then the founders left, was it a year or two ago? And now we have put in new management in the company. And it is still growing very successfully in Sweden. But we also see that, when we look at the Finnish market, when we look at the Norwegian market, the rental position is really, really interesting. There are so many rental properties in this market, and all trends are pointing towards that being a growing market. So first we launched it in Finland, and that was done year and a half ago. And we saw that the same product that we had in Sweden works well also in Finland, and started to grow very nicely also there. So then, of course, the strongest position we have is in Norway, and it's actually also the largest rental market. So it was always our plan to launch it in Norway as well. And we did that 2-3 weeks ago. So it's a little bit early to tell, but we've had our first sales, and it's looking very interesting so far. So absolutely.
Is there this is just me looking forward, but you say 5-10 years and CASA's going well. Does that get slowly merged into Finn and you create one overall platform? Do you want to try and keep the individual brands? I'm just trying to think with my CEO hat on, what's the long-term plan here?
So we don't have any long-term plan to integrate it. It might happen, like you said, that we at one point integrate it and becomes part of the Finn product, the Blocket product, and so on. The way we think about this is that when we acquire a startup like this, when there is a completely new product that is a new value proposition that needs to kind of find product market fit, grow in the market, and so on, then it is so valuable to have a team that is just super focused on that one mission. So instead of kind of distracting them with everything else going on around in our company, we just say, this is your mission. Focus on that and only that, and be the best in the world at the transactional rentals. So that is kind of what we have done with this company. The same is also true with the Nettbil and Autovex, which are some scale-up companies that we have in mobility, for example. And that works really well in that phase of a company's life, is our experience. What happens in the long run to be seen, but we are far away from that still.
I have one more question before I hand it over to Simon again. CASA is a subscription model instead of pay per ad, as you told us last week. So can you just give us a bit of detail about what went into that, building that subscription model, how long people are staying on it, what kind of value they expect to see from it, what metrics you're measuring, etc. I'd just like to get a little bit more context about that revenue model.
It's a very interesting model. So you're right that in the past, our business model for rentals was pay per ad. So you paid 200 kroner, 300 kroner to list your property for rent on one of our sites. It was a nice model, it worked, all of that. But then came this company along, CASA, that had a different model. It's free, but the value proposition is all around managing the rent during the lifetime of the rent. So instead there is the model is that we charge 5% of the actual rent over the entire lifetime of that rental. And that, if you kind of add it up, it becomes 10 to 20 times more than what the listing fee was. But of course, you also have to create more value for both the landlord and the tenant. So then we include things like, it's a better search experience, it's a better way to present yourself as a tenant. We manage the deposit. There is insurance included. There are many things. We actually manage the actual rent as well. So there are many things that we include in that service to make it worthwhile for both the tenant and the landlord.
Simon, I'm going to hand it over to you. You asked Christian last week what keeps you up at night.
Yeah, I haven't got there yet.
And he said the pace of AI development raises concern. So I'm going to hand over to AI. So Simon, back over to you.
Thank you. Thanks. I spent the morning with PropTechs down the road here talking about AI implementation, the speed of change, and the opportunities it creates. And I'm truly fascinated by where they're taking it, and they're really going a long way to thinking about it through the lens of how do I embed a new segment of retail, furniture in particular, but retail in general, into the everyday lives of a property portal. And clearly, historically, property portals are just static photos of what is, whereas AI allows you to imagine the same house but with IKEA furniture or whatever, which gives an opportunity for IKEA as well as for the consumer. That's an example. So when you think about, Christian, when you think about AI, what opportunities do you see for your businesses in really leveraging that just to just improve the overall experience?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it is right that AI is something that to some degree is keeping me up at night because the pace of change is just so immense. And I mean, you just have to think about, okay, what is there today, but what will be there in 2 years, right? It can be something completely different. And there is always this threat of disintermediation. What happens if it's ChatGPT that you go to find your next home rather than go to Finn or any other property portal, right? I don't see that happening, at least not now. We have to be mindful that it can happen. But right now, I see mostly opportunities that AI can be something that we can use both to drive efficiency internally and also to improve our products. And there are many different things that we are doing across the different verticals that we have. You have things like, natural language search, that instead of just using, filters and those things, that you can actually more explain what you want to be looking for. Even the AI can even figure out, okay, you've been looking at these things, then you are probably looking for something like this. And then they will present you with something else. So really creating a much better and smoother and more natural search experience, I think is part of it. And that's also where the agentic AI comes in, where you can have someone do that on your behalf, maybe. And then there are probably many different, let's say, small features that you can do within the product that are AI driven. You mentioned one, Simon. We launched a small feature actually this week on our real estate portal in Norway that is AI driven. And it's something as simple as using AI to automatically find out where in the floor plan is a picture taken. So when you look at the floor plan, you can click on a room and you will get all the pictures from that room. It's very simple, but it's kind of driven by AI. And I think there are just multitude of those things that in total will create a much smoother experience for users and customers.
Yeah. I was talking to another company yesterday who has an AI tool for designers and architects and so on. And we're looking at, amongst a range of things, where it's getting its customers from. And I almost fell off my seat when they're getting something around 15% of their customers from ChatGPT. Okay, it was an enormous percentage. So I think that the speed by which technology is advancing and could potentially disrupt will actually surprise us all.
Yeah, I agree. I think the question.
So how, when you
go ahead.
Sorry, after you.
Simon, you go. You asked the question, Simon.
Okay, so no, I was going to say that if the speed of change is keeping you up at night, how do you as a leader think? How do you keep abreast of all the changes? How do you find what's happening in the market that's best practice, and how do you internally create a structure to test and trial these things?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, I think Schibsted and now Vend, we come from a legacy where we have always said that if we are not disrupting ourselves, then someone else will do it. So you kind of have to be ready to destroy your old business model in a way. So I think we're going into it with that mindset. That means we are always kind of exploring new ways of doing things. And when we are very much connected with peers in all our verticals and exchanging knowledge about, okay, what are you doing, what's working, what's not working, and so on. So I think that is part of kind of keeping in touch with what's happening in the world. But I also think you have to look at completely different industries and what's happening there, right? Because that might be a signal that can affect you in the longer run. I mean, I for example, think that the travel industry will probably see more disruption, if you will, from agentic AI or sooner than other verticals like real estate, as an example. So following what's going on in travel is probably going to be interesting for real estate as well. So I think that is part of it. Internally, we have created one AI unit that is around 40 people in our organization that works. Half of them work with process improvement, half of them work with product. But they are not the only ones working with product. They are just more kind of helping the vertical teams to really apply AI in the best possible way. So it's kind of an accelerator unit to ensure adoption of AI across the organization. So that's how we have approached it.
How long have you had that unit, and what kind of results have you seen from it so far? I'm sure there might be some big companies out there who are interested in knowing what you might need to hire a CAIO to come in and accelerate the business.
No, so we've had it for I would say around a year, but it has been scaled up over that time. We have there are some things that have been really successful. We have, for example, trained basically all employees in different AI tools, whether that is ChatGPT or more co-pilot tools for developers, or whether it's more specific tools for salespeople or customer support and so on. So a lot of it has been around just educating people. Then we have also now more and more seen traction in the different product development teams in starting to adopt AI and create AI-driven features. I would say so far they are relatively small. Nothing has been really, moving the needle in a big way. But maybe it's a little bit too soon to expect that also. But we are seeing more and more traction in this area. And then I would also say that one interesting initiative that we're running from this department is that we're doing something we call Bob the Builder, that I also told you about last week, which is actually creating the tool chain for non-engineers to create things with code. So that you can have product managers, for example, describing with natural language a prototype that they want to create, and you actually create and build the code and actually deploy it to some production environment, so that you are able to test things and with both users and customers and so on in an extremely rapid way. And it's still too early to say how that is going to work, but it's been a real interest among people and employees across the organization to be part of that initiative.
So just so I understand, Bob the Builder is a prompt-driven prototyping, website prototyping type product.
But it's not. Yes, but it's not only necessarily prototyping at something that is used towards users and customers. We see that some people who have signed up for this initiative internally could be from HR or finance or something like that, and they see that I have this task that I do every single day. I think it can be solved by AI, but I don't really know how it can be solved. Then I can actually build a solution for it with this tool. So it's a bit wider than just for prototyping product things.
Yeah. And you said people who have signed up for it, so you don't make it compulsory?
It's still in scale mode. So we are now in the first wave. We are rolling it out to 10 people. So only 10, just to kind of harden the tool chain and so on. But the goal is to have 75 people kind of trained and capable to use this by the end of the year. Okay. So then it's a more significant number of people in the organization.
And who does the training?
It's this AI unit that I talked about.
Okay, so you and has the AI unit worked out how to replace itself with AI?
Yes, they in their own mission statement, they are actually saying that they're going to make themselves obsolete. So they have said that they have actually created this 1,000-day plan, so 3 years. They say that in 3 years, we should not be useful anymore because everything with AI should be kind of ingrained throughout the organization and throughout all processes and competencies and so on. So that's pretty clear, actually.
Yeah. And I think the scary thing is that it won't be us talking to you in 3 years. It will be just our avatars, and you won't be real anyway.
No. I'm sending my avatar to speak to you.
But I think there's what's interesting. I've been using a product called Delphi.ai. I don't know if you've heard about this, but no. I basically have uploaded to it the online marketplaces, stories, my YouTube interviews, and so on, and it now knows what I know. Well, mostly what I know. Previous PowerPoint stuff I've done, conferencing materials, and so on. And it's now has the capacity that you ask it a question about online marketplaces or property portals in particular, and it has pretty good answers. And it sort of does it in my tone and voice, and I know I can, for an extra $999, I can actually shove an avatar of me on the front of it saying those wonderful words, which is good. I'm actually going to see if we can do a podcast with Harvey being real, me being an avatar, and whoever it is our victim. see how it goes in the process. I think it could be quite an interesting challenge.
Actually, might like that.
I got a better one. Why don't, Harvey, you and me interview me?
That sounds like a wonderful idea, Simon. That sounds like a wonderful idea.
That would be funny. Anyway, but if you think about the potential of AI and what it can do, One thing that I've been chatting with a number of marketplaces about recently, and the power of AI, is on the buyer's agent side, because what they collectively see is, there's agents working on the sell side, and it's going to be a long time before a seller who only sells their house every 7, 8, 9, 10 years, right, is comfortable going, hey, phone, can you arrange everything for me? Give me a VAT, because it's that inherent.
That's not going to happen. No,
not
that's
quite
not
sure.
going to happen.
I'm not quite. They still want to have a human there, even if the human is interacting with AI for valuations and so on. But on the buy side, an AI-driven buyer's agent, I think, has a lot of potential, because you don't have to pay a commission to it, right? It's fundamentally free or very low cost, and it can take you through a process, because even though if you only sell every 7 or 8 years, you're only buying every 7 or 8 years. Okay, so it can actually take you through all the steps of that process, and I would think that it would be an interesting opportunity for Vend and the Vend brands to have a branded version of an AI-driven buyer's agent, to guide your customers through the process.
Yeah, I very much agree with your point. I think there are a couple of aspects to consider in this. First of all, not everyone on a property site is there to buy. I actually think about 2/3 of our users are there just because they actually enjoy looking at all these properties. What is for sale in my neighborhood? Oh, there's my neighbor's house. What does it look like? And so on. So that will not be replaced by an AI agent anytime soon, because that's just kind of it's more
it's property porn
than anything else.
I call it property porn.
But you are right that when you are actually in the process of trying to find a new home, you would probably like to have some assistance in that, and then maybe an AI agent can help you. And then, to me, the question is, who is better equipped to develop that AI agent? Is it a horizontal like OpenAI that kind of just is they are kind of trying to be best in every single industry in a way? Or is it someone like us, or Rightmove or REA, or that are really deep experts in a specific domain and have proprietary data and all of that? Who will be better at creating that agent experience? And so far, I'm of the belief that I think it's those specialists that will be best equipped to develop those solutions. And of course, the language models and so on, they are more or less commodity now, right? So I think it will be very exciting to follow this space for sure.
Yeah, I think what we learn out of all of this is the access to technology will be ubiquitous, and therefore it's your brand, it's your market positioning, it's your, do you have a reputation for helping agents? Because remember, you're going to have the agents are still going to be very influential. So let's say Finn has been very nice to agents for a long period of time, reasonably priced and so on. Then the agents are going to go, no. If they're using the Finn buyer's agent, that's good. It's going to make the transaction go faster. We're not going to waste our time, because that'll do a lot of the pre-qualification, making sure they've got a loan if they need it, and so on. And I have comfort as a physical agent on the sell side, dealing with a AI-driven buyer's agent, because that's good. But if it's a Rightmove, or maybe an REA, realestate.com.au, which they've been noted for taking a lot of value from the market, then maybe the agents go, no, don't deal with them. They're going to screw you in the process. Because sales of real estate is an emotional game. You're dealing with salespeople. You're dealing with people who are easily offended, okay, in this whole process. So I think how you position, I think you're probably in a very good position. I mean, especially in Norway with Finn, everyone knows you. So you say, looking to buy a home, download the Finn buyer's agent. what we do is we walk you through the process. We'll help you find the right listing. We'll make sure, we'll help you with your loan and the forms, and you won't miss out on anything. You won't have any problems.
Yeah, I think you're making a good point about the role of the agent in all of this. And I think towards the seller, what we see is that the seller relates very much to the agent, right? And they will very much listen to all advice from the agent, because it's such a big financial element to sell their house. So they will listen to advice from them. The buyer, on the other hand, this might be different from market to market, but at least in Norway, I would say that the buyers are first in touch with us. And it's only when they have kind of been at the viewing and so on that they are really in touch with an agent. So I think we have a very good opportunity to be the first contact point. And this is where we can help you with the discovery mechanism. And then when you're there, you can probably also be assisting, let's say, with the remaining steps, if that is needed as well. So, but yeah,
someone is going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it might as well be us.
Well, yeah. Well, if it's not you, it'll be a bank. All right. Who at the moment has a deep need for the real estate transaction to be successful? A bank. They want to write more loans. Real estate agents, because they're going to get commission, but they're super fragmented, the market. So, there's going to be 50 different versions of it. Probably not going to occur.
In Norway, actually, the situation is that a big part of the market is owned by banks, a big part of the agents. So for that reason alone that you described.
Yeah, then if I'm them, I would be rolling out one of these things pretty quickly. Okay, and so I think that there's a little bit there's likely to be a bit of a land grab for this, and because I don't need two buyers agents working for me. I just need one. So why can't it be the Finn one or block it?
Good point.
Yeah. And I would have thought maybe in Sweden, where you want to do something different. Okay, now Hemnet, you say no, Hemnet's for the seller, Blocket's for the buyer, which sort of actually works. Blocket buyer.
Yeah, let's. You're giving us ideas here on the fly. That's great.
Yeah, I would be thinking about how because most portals I talk to and I listen to, it's a sort of me too. I'm doing that as well. Yeah. And I'm going, but what's going to be different? How are you going to change the game? How are you going to create a different, a way to differentiate yourself in the process? And that's where I do think you need to try something different in this process. And saying this low risk, I mean, launching a buyer's app is low risk. AI-driven buyer's app is minimal risk. Worst thing is it just searches your real estate listings. Okay. But I think it can do a lot more, and you can, if it executes well and can gain trust in someone, what is their biggest transaction, the thing that they are probably going to stress about. That's the other thing. You can put into all of this the angle of sort of stress management and mindfulness, and just that those very 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 touchy feely subjects, but I think are quite important. Very
soft metrics.
Soft metrics, yes, and I think you'll find that can go a long way to really helping position you. Anyway, very happy to chat about this at a different point in time, but I think there is an angle there that people don't think about. They tend to think, I'm running a real estate portal, I'm going to work out how much I can charge the agent to advertise, then I'm going to work out how I can get more money out of them. And that's where it tends to stop in this process.
Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. Food for thought. Right then,
just a passing thought anyway.
We'll wrap up there because we're coming close to an hour. So I think
So one last quick question.
Go on then, Simon.
What keeps you up at night, apart from AI?
No, I mean, we have already spoken about AI. So I think for the rest, I think it's about execution of our plan. That we have. I mean, we are in this big transformation. As I said, we are still, let's say, not finished with the split from media. We are still moving towards becoming much more vertically oriented. We haven't spoken so much about it, but we are moving to one technology platform and so on. So there are a number of things that are of big importance in our company that are the things that I spend quite a lot of time on, and that I'm most excited about. And I always say to our team is that success is measured in the market. We can't really measure success internally. Success is really measured by our users, our customers. They are the ones in the end who will determine whether what we deliver is valuable, right? And I think that is something to always remind yourself about, because that in the end, that's what's going to determine whether you are long-term successful or not, if you're able to deliver that value.
That's fair enough. I mean, we've already gone to 50 minutes, so we might as well go to an hour. So I'm going to ask one more question as well, Christian, which is what's something that the industry should be talking about that it isn't talking about enough?
That is a good question. That's a very difficult question, actually. I mean, the obvious answer is AI, but I guess the industry is talking about AI. I don't have a clear perspective on top of my head here now. So I mean, I can only say that we have always historically focused mostly on the for sale category, but once we ventured into the rentals space, that we happened kind of a little bit by accident through this acquisition of CASA to get into. But once we explored that more and more, I got more and more excited about the rentals space. So maybe that is something that the broader property portal industry can think more about, because it's a very interesting and quite different market as well. Yeah.
It is. And we have a whole generation of people who are going to be renting for their entire lives because they can't afford a house as well. So it's going to be a long relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking from experience, Harvey?
Very much so, Simon. Very much so. I'm going to need a big bonus to afford this apartment that I'm living in right now, Simon. We'll put that on the record right now. Right then, we are getting close to an hour.
Renting is good, Harvey. Renting is good.
Renting is very good, and I don't want to own a house anyway. Right then, we'll call it there, ladies and gentlemen. Christian, thanks so much for joining us again. This has been a much better experience than last week. I can assure you of that, ladies and gentlemen. So, Christian, thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you on the next one.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Christian.
And it's going to be goodbye from Simon Baker.
And it's goodbye from Harvey.
And it's going to be goodbye from me. We'll see you on the next one. And thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.